Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts. Rudolph and Meghan with you today, including special guest, NCAA champion, Cam Wright. Cam, thanks for coming on the show with us. We appreciate you. How you doing today?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it should be a fun show. Should be an interesting one. Not just NCAA champion, also new signee by the Colorado Eagles, taking your first steps into pro hockey. I guess my first question is, how did it feel to sign that first hockey contract?
Really good. Really good. Obviously, it's something that every hockey kid dreams of since they're 4 or 5 years old. So that felt really good to finally sign a pro deal.
Amazing. We're going to kind of go through your whole path to a professional contract here over the show, so should be interesting. Get into some details. Of course, if you have any fun stories, feel free to just cut me off and tell us about something interesting. But anyway, your story starts where most hockey players do in Ontario, Canada, a Newmarket, if I'm correct.
Correct.
Are you the traditional Canadian skated before you could walk, or did it come a little bit later?
No, pretty traditional. My parents didn't really play hockey, but, like you said, in Ontario, as a kid, that's the thing you do. You go on the ice, and obviously I fell in love with it right away, I guess, and never looked back.
Did you dabble in other sports or just hockey?
Yeah, actually, I was a big soccer player. It's obviously important to play multiple sports, so played soccer growing up until basically I couldn't play both anymore and chose hockey. Yeah, but I definitely loved soccer and still do love it.
A lot of similarities to you between the two sports, or are they vastly different?
Well, I think just sports in general, that competitive drive,
sure.
That, fitness, that kind of stuff. I think they easily transition into each other, but also the differences were nice because you could take a break from the one and enjoy the other. A lot more footwork in soccer versus handwork in hockey, so it was fun to do both for a while.
I will admit I've peeked at your career stats. I've used a little bit of Elite Prospects to look you up, and I noticed you're a bit of a goal scorer, but I want to let you describe your own game.
Yeah, I guess that would be kind of what I fell into. It's a shoot first kind of guy. I think, growing up I had a better shot than a lot of people, which kind of encouraged coaches and people to, tell me to shoot pucks. So that's kind of where it led off to, and I just kept shooting and hopefully scoring goals. And yeah, that's basically how I would say I play my game. Pretty simple, hard-nosed guy, like to score the easy goals in front of the net, and yeah, just keep shooting pucks.
Good answers. They'll love you with the Eagles with that answer.
Yeah, that's something that came out of Dev Camp. But before we get to Dev Camp, you found yourself looking at the next steps of hockey, and you ended up choosing the NCAA route. What other options were you considering at that time? How did you land on Bowling Green? Were there other schools you were looking at?
Yeah, it's a great question. Obviously, again, as an Ontario kid, the OHL, CHL, like the OHL, definitely calls towards you. I was a bit of a late bloomer in that, at 16, I wasn't ready to go to the OHL. So I played Junior A in Ontario with St. Mike's, and then kind of just through that built relationships with coaching staff and some NCAA coaches, and realized how great of a route it is, and obviously knew people who had gone on to do it and been successful. And then, when the OHL came knocking, I decided I wanted to go the NCAA route instead, and just my conversations with Bowling Green, like the recruiting trips, my official visit, just were kind of what I was looking for, and it was a really good fit in terms of a team that I would be able to step in the lineup and play, which is all any of us want to do is play. So that worked out great, and obviously I love that decision going to Bowling Green.
In your 17, 18-year-old season, you dominated the OJHL, was one of the leading scorers in the entire league. Was there any conversations with NHL teams, or did they come calling at all as any interest as a potential draft pick, or is it mostly just you're headed to college?
Yeah, there was a bit for sure. The OJHL wasn't an overly respected league at that time, taking the back step to a lot of the other CJHL leagues. But there was definitely some talk. Obviously that is your dream to get drafted in the NHL, and I thought that was a possibility after my successful year, but it didn't end up happening, and doesn't matter. I was headed to college anyways and knew I was going to be a a 4-year guy, I guess 5-year guy in college. Anyways,
In some ways that worked out.
exactly.
Well, yeah, I guess we'll get to that a bit. The first question for me with college would be, why Bowling Green? It's not exactly a very well-known hockey school compared to where you ended up at DU, for sure.
Yes, yeah. Be careful there. I do obviously love Bowling Green. I think, yeah, kind of like I said, it was, maybe not a middle of the pack team, but they were coming off a couple of top 20 years, which is exciting for them. And it was a great step, like I said, in a place that I could play. And like coming out of that Ontario, you weren't really getting DU coming to your games. Unfortunately, you weren't getting the Western Conference teams or even a lot of the Hockey East teams for me specifically. So, it was kind of the best option, I thought, for a team that was looking to grow and get better. And I thought I could be a part of that. And I loved the campus and people dog on Ohio, but I definitely enjoyed the city and had a lot of fun there.
I think looking too at the role you were able to play at DU, what was your role entering Bowling Green and cracking into that forward group? Because you almost played a similar or elevated role in your 5th year at DU. Was that something that you were able to rise through the ranks in Bowling Green and get a promoted role? Or is that sort of what led you to the transfer portal at the end of it all?
No, I would say what you're saying at the beginning, like it just allowed me to elevate my role, right? You come in had just turned 19 when I walked onto campus at Bowling Green, and you just become, as those 4 years, you just become a better player and you become elevated in your role. Like you said, I felt like every year I got better, I got bigger, I got faster, stronger, whatever it was. And then, especially my senior year at Bowling Green, I really thought that, not that I had done all I could in that conference, but I felt like I was definitely one of the better players in the conference. And then when, I decided to enter the transfer portal, I knew I wanted to go to a top team like DU and do what I had done at Bowling Green, and that's kind of, thankfully it worked out in like that.
Most of the Canadian leagues play pretty rigorous schedules for the most part in juniors. Was there any adjustment to the NCAA level that really, plays weekends only and then you have entire weeks off at a time?
Yeah, you definitely have to start to enjoy and appreciate practice. Like personally playing 5 years of college, the amount of practices that I've probably done, I guess not many more than other guys, but just like you have to really learn to appreciate practice because like you said, you only play 36 regular season games. I think this year we played the most of any team and it was 44 or something like that, right? Yeah. Like you don't play a lot of games. You just have to learn to appreciate, working out and practicing and really elevating your game by yourself, whether that's like getting on the ice extra time or getting in the gym, like that's just that's kind of how you have to appreciate getting better. And then, it almost makes the games that more important because there is only 2 a weekend.
Question from Sean in the chat here. If you don't have to answer anything you don't want to, for the record, but he's asking what you got your degree in.
At Bowling Green, I majored in sport management with a minor in marketing, and then at DU, I did a 1-year master's certificate in marketing communication.
Very nice.
So, yeah.
So I guess this moves into the conversation that every hockey prospect around this age has to have now. Obviously, the COVID pandemic and the shortened seasons have messed with the timelines and path to pro hockey for a lot of players. Have you really seen a significant impact from it, or did you manage to kind of keep on the same path through it for yourself?
Yeah, obviously, like you said, it was very tough when the pandemic hit, but, I can't say I was unlucky or more unfortunate than other people in what happened. I think, obviously it shortened our season my junior year, and then we were able to still play 20 games my senior year, which was great. And then obviously look what happened. I would have never been a national championship if it wasn't for COVID. So I do have to thank, I guess I doubt anybody's ever saying they can thank COVID, but I guess it gave you that opportunity. So no, you just keep kind of chugging along and obviously things are hopefully back to normal. So it's, it happened and get over it, I guess.
You described how that affected even the recruitment process to DU, that you weren't able to come see the campus physically, so they gave you something of a PowerPoint presentation. What was that presentation like? Did it have music? What were some of the selling points?
That's a great question. It's funny talking to some of the guys when I eventually got there to DU. I learned that DC did not necessarily make the PowerPoint unique to just me. It was one that he had used before, but it was good. It was showcasing DU and then showcasing the NCHC, the conference, and then showcasing Denver as a city. I think he mentioned how many days of sun there were in Denver every year, and it was kind of funny. There was no music though, but there might have been some fun transitions. I can't remember.
What has been your experience with Denver so far? You've been here for a little over a year. I don't know if you stayed here the whole time, but obviously everyone talks about the altitude that arrived. Was it a significant adjustment for you, or was it you're here, you're playing hockey, you're good to go?
No, I definitely remember the altitude. I came in last year, like I think July 5th or something. I made the drive out to Denver and was here the whole time. So, but I remember the first couple of days, it was pretty crazy. Like I couldn't breathe. I was sweating. My heart rate was up, like trying to work out. So that was definitely adjustment. But ever since then, obviously you don't think of it. You just you definitely like the advantage that, that DU had and all other Colorado Denver sports must have over other people who don't have altitude, because I can imagine how hard that would be to come in and play a game without getting adjusted to it.
With college and that route, you kind of talked about the OHL being the standard go point for Ontario. Is something like a national championship on your radar as a kid in the NCAA, or is that something that you kind of fell into a little bit later?
That's a great question. I would probably say no as a kid. I don't remember anyone really ever talking about NCAA national championships.
All Mem Cup instead?
Yeah. Exactly, right? Ontario is very set in their ways and that everyone needs to go to OHL to make the NHL. But I think as I got to junior, I'd say was where I kind of realized that we did a trip to Michigan and Michigan State to watch games and kind of like learn the NCAA route. So that's kind of when I figured out that is a possibility. So yeah, that would be later in junior, but not as a young kid for sure.
All right. On that note, we are brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. You can go get a good time if you go get tickets now at breckbrew.com for their Hootenanny, which happens on October 8th and 9th. It's going to be a total blast. They're celebrating their 32nd birthday, so older than everyone on this show, even me. You keep going with them, and you'll find a bunch of awesome stuff down at the farmhouse, first of all. But they've been one of our longest-standing partners. We absolutely love them. They'll be here on tap when the bar opens up, which coming soon, by the way. If the tweet's officially out there for our reopening rather. Go jump on it. Go check that out. Go get yourself some Breck Brew. Again, breckbrew.com for more details on the Hootenanny. And we're also brought to you by Evoca TV. That's evoca.tv. You can get TV for just $15 a month for the first 3 months when you go to evoca.tv/Colorado10. Today, they have altitude, so that's the big one. If you want to watch Avs games, if you want to catch some DU games, that's the way to do it. It's not the whole Comcast problem like the rest of here is. So jump on that. They, of course, have the national channels. They have AT&T Sportsnet. They also have NFL Network, 60 other channels for movies and TV shows as well. So they have you totally and completely covered. Go check out Evoca TV today. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast here with Cam Wright. I'll let Meghan. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but talk
about the year at DU?
Yes.
I was looking at this comment too, asking about the goalie, and they're going to scare our guests. We already took them through a very terrifying elevator ride, and now they're talking about knives and goalies. So we really got to cool it, guys. But tell us about the year you had at DU. We obviously know how it ends, and I want to talk about that championship game in a second too, but just about being around that group of guys, some friendships that you were able to make. You're there in a year. Some of these guys have been playing for a while. There's also new faces. What was that like?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was definitely special, walking into a team where I actually knew no one. I shared a few texts with Barrow and Gutman when I committed, but really knew no one going on campus last summer. It was definitely scary, but immediately I was taken in, and these guys, especially the leadership, the upperclassmen, were so good and so generous and wanted to win so bad that you knew this was a year that it was possible. And then you add in those freshmen that we had that were pretty incredible and had big big moments for our team this year. You look at guys like Barry, like Mays, like Rizzo, like we wouldn't have done it without them. So it was just it was awesome to see. And I'm so proud of all my teammates and can't believe like that we did it together. And like you said, the friendships that we've made, it's awesome. And it's ones we'll have now for the rest of our life because of what we did at the end of the year.
Being an Avalanche pod, we got to ask you a little bit more about Barons. What was it like playing with him as a freshman player? What did you see in that kid?
Yeah, he's pretty special. The first thing I remember thinking was not knowing who he was coming into school. I thought he had to be a junior or senior. The guy is very, very mature and very set in his ways and has his routines, and he's almost like an old pro already in the way he does his stuff. So it was pretty impressive to see that. You just kind of knew. When you then got on the ice with him, you're like, wow, that makes sense because he's so calm and so smart and makes the right plays. It's definitely special to play with him. And as he's 19, he's going to get so much better in the next couple of years that I'm definitely excited to see where he can be for the Avalanche in a couple of years.
You wore an A in St. Mike's in your last year there, according to Elite Prospects at least. You're coming in as a fifth-year player in the NCAA. You talked about the leadership there in DU. How do you find that balance of being a little bit of an older player and being a leader and joining a new group like that?
Yeah, that was definitely something that took a bit of time to figure out because, yeah, like you said, I was an older guy. I was 23 going into that team, and I had however many games of experience, but I'm also the new guy on campus along with the other freshmen. So it was definitely a balance of respecting the upperclassmen who have been there forever and who have done what they've done for that program, and then also kind of putting in my 2 cents in that, I kind of know a bit of how things run and how things should go. So, and like I said, the upperclassmen are amazing. And I think, I think it took a month, and then I was part of the leadership group and being able to speak my mind in that locker room. And I think, it definitely helped us all gel together as a team and win the championship.
I think that question too kind of speaks to the culture that must have existed in the locker room, because in that championship game, something changed after the second intermission. And I just wanted to know what the messaging was like in the locker room between those periods and how you guys were able to turn it around the way that you did.
Yeah, it's a great question. It was actually very calm and confident, which was, really as you take a step back and realize how calm we were about going into the third period down 1-0 in the national championship game. It shows why we came back and won. Our upperclassmen, again, they were like, hey guys, like, let's leave it all out on the table. This is the championship game. This is all we have left. Let's go and give everything we have. And it was even a confidence in that we're not going to get shut out. We haven't been shut out this year. It's not going to happen. We're going to score a goal, and then we're going to be back in it. And we're not even playing our best right now. It's a 1-0 game. So it was just that idea that we knew that we were going to step up and win that game.
And win it you did.
And win it you did.
Yeah, we did,
so
yeah.
Stadium in or Crimson and Gold, where was the celebration on campus?
It was actually at the Pile.
That's probably appropriate.
Yeah, it was.
I'm glad the Pio came back.
Yeah, they kind of, Pile became a thing about the spring, and that was kind of where we spent a lot of our time over the championship.
I think the better question might be, how long was the celebration?
Yeah, it was probably too long.
Well, I don't want to jump ahead here a little bit, but you guys were part of the Avalanche parade too. So you guys got to go and show off your national championship there. So I've never been a big DU fan. I'll admit it. Never followed it. But how important was that to the campus and all of those guys to get back on top as DU?
It's huge. DU is definitely a powerhouse in college hockey, and it had been 5 years, and especially last year, coming off a year where we didn't even make the tournament, which was a big deal for DU and not a good step, obviously. It was big time, and you see how important it is to DU as a school and as campus, and even part of Denver as a city, to just get back to those winning ways, and I think Denver definitely showed us how important it was to them with the way they treated us over the next few weeks there.
Will, I want to get to your question in a minute, but we're getting there.
Yeah, we've got a dev camp to
Yeah,
go through,
yeah.
and a DU pro camp.
Where do you want to start with those, Megan?
Before I leave the DU program, I wanted to know about the process and just different things that have prepared you for the next step in your career from DU specifically.
Yeah, I think that DC, our head coach, David Carl, this year, he's a guy who gets people ready for pro hockey. You know, that was obvious from day one stepping on campus. Is he's a guy who wants everyone to achieve their goals and play pro hockey and play at the next level. And, you know, just with the way he goes about our day-to-day and routines and the way practice are set up and making sure you have time for yourself to work on skills, like he just really knew how to get guys to the next level. And I think that was evident in DU and where guys are going. And personally for me, it was really just important to help me make that jump and feel like I am now ready to play pro hockey.
All right. So stepping into that, I guess, first of all, how did you get connected with the Avs Dev Camp?
It was kind of simple. It was just, you know, through my the agent and just through Brian Willis, the director of player development for the Avs, was just like a couple phone calls and they said they had watched obviously me closely this year through, you know, the proximity of the teams and want me at Dev Camp and want me to be a part of the Avalanche organization or Eagles organization or whoever it was. And then, you know, obviously for me it was exciting because watching the Avs do what they did this year and knowing guys on the Eagles and being a part of Denver in general, I thought it was a no-brainer to go and see what happened at Dev Camp.
Did you weigh other offers too, or was Avs top of list? Did you have some other pro options on the table?
I had a couple, yeah, but definitely Avs was top of my list. Just, you know, the way that talking to people, there was not really a bad thing said about that organization and how they really did care about developing people and developing their players to move up the ranks and their evidence. You know, they obviously had good evidence, and so I thought, you know, I want to be a part of this city and this organization. So for me, it was top of the list for sure.
Going into Dev Camp, was there a confidence that a contract was going to happen, or was that something that it was more of an earn it at Dev Camp type thing?
I think it was an earn it at Dev Camp thing. I thought that was a possibility, just especially as a fifth-year guy, 23 years old. Like, I wasn't going there as 18-year-olds. Like, as a Barry, for example, obviously Barry could have made the team, but he kind of knew he was going back to DU. Like, this was it. This was what I wanted to do. So I knew that it was a possibility, but I knew I also had to earn it. And so that kind of drove me the whole time in Dev Camp, that I wanted to get a contract out of it so that I kind of knew my next steps after that.
Feel free to drink water too.
Yeah, no.
Some dead air is totally fine. So Dev Camp then, as an experience, on the one side you're trying to earn a contract, especially going the NCAA route. This is your first dive into other, I don't want to say pro players because it's other prospects as well, but kind of the professional side of things. Was there a significant difference there, or was it a pretty loose structure?
No, I would say that it was pretty loose. Like you said, you know, I had played against, especially the last year, some of the best prospects in the country in college and on my team as well every day. So it was kind of just being confident and knowing I had the ability to make a difference at Dev Camp, and especially because I was one of the older guys there by a few years at least, it definitely allowed me to kind of think that, you know, I should be one of the better guys here, and if I want a contract, then I'm going to have to go out and show it.
I know you guys did some off-ice training too, and some organizations do media and PR training. Did you guys do anything like that? What did it look like? Yeah,
every morning we kind of had a little meeting, and I think the second day was it's called professionalism meeting. So they basically just talked to us about, yeah, like you said, PR and media training and how to act and how to take care of yourself and how to be, you know, in front of the camera and that kind of stuff. So we did that along with, you know, we did some like psychology stuff where they, you know, told us how to take care of your mental self and those kind of things. So it was good to kind of learn those areas, especially for a lot of the younger guys.
Who was your roommate during camp?
My roommate was Tyler Weiss.
Oh, we were wondering. We could have asked you. We didn't know what was going on with him during free agency. Like, was he going back to UNO? And it's just kind of come in laps now. But yeah. How did you like him? How was camp with you guys?
It was good. It was great. obviously we'd played against each other this year, and I didn't really know him before, but it was, I always say this, especially even coming into DU, I think hockey guys are for the most part all the same. You laugh at the same jokes, you say the same things, so it was pretty easy to get to know him and bond with him, and now I have a friend in Weiser, and I've been keeping up with what he's been doing, so I'm excited to see how his year goes.
So you earned the contract in Dev Camp. It's an AHL deal with the Colorado Eagles, which are a bit up north, and that kind of brings us to Will's question here. Do you have any specific goals with your first season of pro hockey? Are you pushing to make the Eagles roster, or is maybe the ECHL in Utah more realistic?
No, I'm pushing to make the Eagles roster. When I signed the contract, that was part of it, and that I did have maybe a couple other offers on the table, and I wanted to be in the American Hockey League this year, so that was definitely part of it. And they kind of said there is a spot to be earned, to have if you earn it. So that's kind of my goal, is to be an everyday guy with the Eagles, and then just from there, be a guy that Crow relies on every night, and kind of work my way up the lineup. Obviously, I know that as you enter pro hockey, you're back to the small fish in the big pond. So, it takes some time, but I think, again, I'm confident in my abilities and think I can be a difference maker. And that's my goal, is to be a guy that Crow relies on for the Eagles this year.
I know you met Crow briefly at Dev Camp. Have you gotten to meet with him, practice with any Eagles guys in between that time?
No, not really. Talked to Crow quickly, but that was about it. I've talked to, the D assistant coach and a lot of hockey ops and equipment guys, but I think it's practices hopefully start here in a couple of weeks, and then obviously camps get going, but it'll be quick to have to get to know everyone and get ready for the season, and then obviously we'll have the whole season to figure it out.
It's going to be an interesting year. The Eagles obviously on the upswing, made the conference finals of the AHL last year. Are expectations from them that they want to continue going for the next level and try to win the Calder Cup this year?
Yeah, absolutely. The Eagles are an organization who constantly want to be at the top of the American Hockey League. They feel like they have one of the best organizations in the league. So, Calder Cup championship is always their goal. But, like you said, coming off a good year last year and bringing in some good new players, I think they're excited to make that step and hopefully make a deep run in the playoffs.
Great question from Mooter. I can't say your name. I apologize. Is there someone you model your game after?
It's always a tough question. I actually don't know. I like to think of myself a little bit like I said, a shooter. I kind of, as a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, I always used to watch Matt Sundin, which is obviously an old one, but he was always a guy with a really good shot. Kind of a newer age, or guys like Artemi Panarin or who am I trying to think of? Jason Robertson, just younger guys who you see shoot first and are kind of, besides Panarin, bigger guys who spend time in front of the net. So even guy like Chris Kreider, I like to kind of try and mold my game after a few players, I guess.
I guess I shouldn't be surprised that an Ontario kid is a fan of the Leafs.
Yes,
but
of course. Have to be.
Any love for Kadri then, getting his cup with the Avs?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was always a big Kadri guy, and I'm super excited for his cup, and then obviously his new deal there with Calgary. That's going to be exciting for him.
Yeah, he finally gets paid.
Yeah, exactly. He deserved it a long time ago in Toronto, so it's good to see him getting that money.
Mutork Sim. All right. Mutork? No, I still can't say it. It's like a normal hockey name that I can't say. It's just,
I don't know that either.
Part of the game for me, I guess. All right. We are also brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. You can go over there right now and sign up for a new account with code DNVR to get amazing odds boosts every single day, but also you can get at $200 in free bets right now. If you go bet on college football, don't even have to get the bet correct. Just put $5 down on a college football team and you get $200 in free bets. So jump on it today. Go over to DraftKings. Of course, if college football is not your thing, that's fine. Get the $200 in free bets and go bet on hockey. You can bet on AHL teams if you want. If you believe in Cam and the Eagles, go bet them to win the whole thing. So you can jump on that. Go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the DNVR code. It must be 21 or older. Colorado only. Other terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for new details. You can see on screen a $200 free bets is issued in $25, 8 of them, $25 free bets. And yeah, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. If you want to go see games in person, you can go over to Gametime. Download the Gametime app today, and you can get tickets up to 60% off. Of course, they have all of the big four sports, all the major sporting events. Avs tickets not going to be cheap this year, so Gametime is a great way to get those a little bit more affordably. If you've never seen a game at the Budweiser Event Center, by the way, you got to go. The building's amazing. The crowd there is unbelievable. It's such a cool building, so go get tickets to the Eagles as well with Gametime. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Meghan, what else do you want to ask?
I think I've got a couple, just like the more fun questions.
Let's go. I'm ready.
One off-season conversation was, should hockey have individual goal songs? And I think the consensus was like, it's a team sport that might take away from what makes hockey special. But if you had to have a hockey goal song, what would it be?
Oh, yeah, 'cause that's put me on the spot. I'm a country guy, but I don't know if country would necessarily land in a hockey rink. But
Yeah, I've been surprised how many hockey players are into country music.
yeah, I don't know. I guess we fit that mold. But I think I'd have to go something country. I think especially up in Loveland, I think they would appreciate
They do
that
that,
for sure.
They'll
So,
definitely like
so
it.
something in the country, but I think the individual goal songs is pretty cool. Like especially when you go to Rockies games, I love the walk up songs. That was it, Charlie Blackman. He's got the best one in the league.
It's
So,
pretty special.
so I think it'd be definitely fun to individualize for players to have, and it's a way fans can kind of associate with their favorite players, which would be cool.
How is DU Pro Camp? You were around a lot of big name players in OC, Terry, and Devon Taves. What was it like getting to practice with some of those players? Did it help you feel like you're ready to start playing around these guys in the pro leagues who are bigger, faster, stronger than what you're coming from?
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed it there. Like it just gives you that confidence to believe that you are ready for that next level, right? You never know. You watch these guys on TV and you never know how you're going to match up against them. But thankfully being on the ice with them for a week, it really allows you to kind of realize that, you're not that far away from them, from guys like that. And so it does give you that confidence. But it was special, and those guys are so generous and giving. And if you have a question for them, they're obviously eager to tell you what their story is. And even the non-DU guys you said, like Taves and guys like that, it's pretty easy to talk to them, and it's really nice being on the ice and seeing how hard they work and how hard they work in the gym to show you why they're where they are.
We have to do this. Everyone who comes on the show has to have a bad food take. For examples, I like mayonnaise on burritos. We've had some famous ones include mustard on pizza. So if there's some food that you like that you think a lot of people wouldn't like.
That's a good question. I probably have too many.
You'd be pretty hard to beat me in this
that's
category.
true.
I'll tell you, everyone thinks I have terrible food taste.
I'm going to have to hear a couple of yours, but I like, I used to do this as a kid all the time, peanut butter and pickles.
Oh, man.
Which is going to be a tough
Isn't that
take.
like a pregnant woman thing or something?
I don't know, but maybe my mom showed me that at some point, but I used to always, coming home from school, would always put with a knife a slab of peanut butter and pickles, and it was, I don't know why, but for some reason it mixed, so I guess I'll take that one as my bad food take. I also like pineapple on pizza, though, so.
Hawaiian, very divisive, for sure.
Right, so.
Our other podcast host, AJ, hates pickles, so he probably does not like that answer.
It's just so hard to hate pickles. They work everywhere. I love pickles. Go through a jar a day.
I'm with you. I'm with you on the pickles.
That's funny. No, I don't know any others though. I think other than that, I'm pretty normal. I'm a big mustard guy. Like I always do mustard on my eggs in the morning, which I think might be a little different, but
better than ketchup.
Really, you're not a ketchup?
I'm not on eggs. Ketchup's fine, but I just don't like it on eggs.
I had a best friend growing up. He was his dad was like really high up in Heinz, like worked for Heinz, right? And he hated ketchup. Like the kid hated ketchup, and I'm like, this is so dumb because you have free ketchup for your whole life and hated beans. Like, just hated everything his dad worked for. And I'm like, that just is, it's the worst. I'd love for my dad to work for us.
His family has like
Shout
a
out,
life
Dad.
supply
Like,
of
literally
ketchup.
just, he would give him out. He was our hockey coach, actually, his dad, growing up. So he would, like, if you were first in our, like, skates at that age, he would give you, like, the big thing of ketchup.
The whole
my
the,
God.
the
Oh.
jar
Or ketchup as your reward. You
Congrats.
bring it home. Your mom would be like, yes, thanks.
That's
Oh my
amazing. I mean, peanut butter and chocolate's pretty normal, chat. I don't know. Peanut butter and pickles definitely weird. Not that weird?
Not that weird.
You like it too?
Yeah, it's
Nice.
not that weird.
Nice.
I just got into pickles about a year ago, actually.
What do you mean you just got into pickles a year ago?
Gateway food.
So
Be careful.
I had a cucumber, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what a pickle tastes like. And just
There's
downhill
no
from there.
shot you'd never had a pickle before a year
Dude,
ago.
I'm about like 3 steps away from heroin, man. Now that I tried pickles.
That's not good.
I hope there's a
Dark.
couple more steps than that between pickles and hard drugs, but
That's funny.
anyway.
I'm so sorry. Let's go.
Any other questions, Megan?
Was there a fun DU story, something that happened this last season that you can share? A memory? That
Can
isn't as
swear
cool as
on
the
the show if
national
you want to.
championship.
Just letting you know.
Right.
On the internet.
Someone
Yeah.
else's bad foods were on the internet.
On the other hand, it will also be on the internet forever. So
Yeah, it's true. That's true. I'll be careful who I call out right now. I don't know. I think just like there's so many memories and good stories from post championship, which I think you kind of have to take to the grave a bit. But
That's
one great one, which I assume people can imagine, that our coach decided after we hadn't done our team picture yet because he wanted it with the national championship trophy. So we had won the Saturday night, and he decided to do the photo Monday at 11 o'clock, thinking, okay, it'll be late enough for guys to sleep in, not realizing that we had just won the national championship and we weren't thinking of sleeping in. So I would say that was pretty funny, in that, we had plans Monday at 8 a.m. for everyone to show up at, we called the one student house Margaritaville, because it has a sign that says Margaritaville and has backyard, whatever. So we all went there, and it was pretty fun because by the time we showed up to the rink at 11, I don't think the coaches kind of knew what they were in for. We had guys, kind of trying to figure out, couldn't remember how to put on their gear properly and stuff like that. And we actually ended up taking a picture. It was pretty funny. We all had our sunglasses on and took a picture. So that one we now have on our phones forever, which will be a great memory. But that was pretty fun.
Yeah. Can you bring up the title screen? Because it sounds like a couple days of partying followed by pictures is how you end up with hair like that.
Nice.
Kinda.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's actually the start of the
start
year.
of the
I think
season.
that's-
Yeah.
Hey, come on.
I assumed that was after a practice or something. I didn't.
I
I
hope
wanted
so.
to give
I
you
hope
some
so.
some credit, but
Yeah, thank you. Unfortunately, I got the curly hair, and it likes to run away from me at times. That's why I wear a hat. Yeah, it likes to curl.
I imagine it's a little better in Denver than in Ohio.
Yeah, definitely. The lack of humidity helps a lot in Denver, so I appreciate that part.
It's the small things.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Well,
Good. So, final thing, if you want to tell the people anything you're doing or your Twitter accounts or where people can find you, go for it. Or if you're good, that's all good too.
I think I'm all right.
Okay.
My social media accounts are not needed to be followed. They're pretty boring, to be honest. I gotta up my game on the social media, I guess.
All right. Well, on that note, Cam, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
We
you so
appreciate you.
much.
This is an awesome show. I love that we have another person that likes pickles. That's a win for me. But we're going to get out of here for the day. Thank you, everyone, for watching, listening, hanging out, except for AJ. You can get lost. We appreciate y'all. We will be back tomorrow with the usual cast. We hope to see you all there. And until then, we'll talk to you later.